Hello and welcome to part 12 of the subject Basics of Accounting. In the 11 parts that we have discussed so far, we have done almost 65 to 75% of the work of accounting process. In the last session and the session earlier to that, we studied about subsidiary books. And in the last session, we discussed in detail the concept of cash book, especially 3-column cash book, and we have solved problem as well. In this particular session, we are going to discuss something very, very important, which I call it as filter point in the subject of accounts. Filter point in the subject of accounts, and that is trial balance. Now, before we proceed to trial balance, we have to understand another very important point, which we are going to cover in this session, and that is cash discount versus trade discount. While explaining journal entries, also while talking about the preparation of purchases book and sales book, I mentioned that trade discount should not be recorded in the books of the business at all. What is the difference between a cash discount and a trade discount? On what occasion? With an example, we will check in this particular session. It will be followed by the meaning of trial balance, relevance or importance of trial balance, methods of preparing trial balance, and forms of presentation of trial balance. So these are a few topics that we are going to cover in this particular session. Now let's understand trade discount versus cash discount. Now, what is the meaning of trade discount? What is the meaning of cash discount? So we'll have a clear-cut analysis or comparison between these two items. First, we will take reasons for difference. When is trade discount given? Trade discount is given usually at the time of sale, whereas cash discount is given at the time of collection. When you are collecting money from your customers, at that time, cash discount will be given. Now, on what price is a trade discount given? It is usually given on the list price, or we also call that as catalog price, whereas cash discount is given on the amount that is due from the customer. Now, what is the basic objective of trade discount? The basic objective of trade discount is to sell more, We have a beautiful example right here. See, 4% 10,000 and 5% 15,000. What does this mean? If the customer purchases 10,000 rupees worth goods, he will be given a discount of 4%. And if the customer is purchasing 15,000 worth goods, he will be given a discount of 5%. So the objective is very, very clear, and that is to sell more. So as the customer is buying more, he avails the benefit of higher rate of trade discount. So to sell more is the objective of trade discount. When it comes to cash discount, the objective is to speed up collection. You know, how much early a customer or a debtor can pay to the business. If you look at the example, 3% 7 days, 3.5% 4 days. What does this mean? If the customer is making the payment, whatever is due to the business within 7 days, he gets a discount of 3%. But if he is making the payment within 4 days, he gets a discount of 3.5%. That means the earlier the customer pays, the more the discount that will be available. So the objective of cash discount is for speeding up collection so that the customer makes the payment early or the business collects the money from customer at the earliest. Accounting treatment, we are already aware. Trade discount will not be shown in the accounting books at all. It will be excluded when you record the amount in the books of the business. But when it comes to cash discount, yes, what we record, discount allowed, discount received, as we have seen in the previous part as well. The discount allowed column on the debit side of a 3-column cash book and the discount received column on the credit side of the 3-column cash book, that discount is called as cash discount. And cash discount definitely will be shown in the accounting books. So these are a few examples that we have of trade discount and cash discount. I hope this small concept of trade versus cash discount is clear. Let's move to the next topic, and that is trial balance. I have already mentioned trial balance is called as the filter point in the process of accounting. the objective of trial balance is to see to it that no errors move ahead. Books of accounts to a large extent, or you can say completely, remains error free. Now, what is trial balance? Trial balance is basically a statement which is going to show the arithmetical accuracy of the books of accounts. So when we say trial balance, we speak about the accuracy of the books of accounts. And when we say accuracy, accounts is all about numbers. So arithmetical accuracy, the adding up on two sides should be equal. That is what we are trying to say. So arithmetical accuracy of the books of accounts. Now, how do we prepare a trial balance? That is the question. See, when we have prepared ledger accounts, even for that matter, we learned 3-column cash book. We got cash column balance. We got bank column balance. Likewise, in ledger account, we have found balances of a number of, balances a number of ledger accounts. All those balances will be brought forward or will be put together in a statement called trial balance. So the balances of various ledger accounts are brought forward and the statement is prepared. So as the name suggests, the balance. So balances of various ledger accounts will be put together in a statement, and that statement is called as trial balance. And basic objective, as I mentioned, it should show the arithmetical accuracy of the books of accounts. So I've been stressing on this particular point. It serves as a filter point. It serves as a checkpoint as to whether what has been done is correct or not. So I've been stressing no errors should continue beyond a trial balance, but sometimes it is out of control of the accountant as well. So some errors will continue as well. So what do we do? That is, that we understand in the concept called rectification of errors. So basically, the job of the trial balance is to be the filter point or the checkpoint and to see to it that whatever has been done in the accounting books is correct. Now, what is the relevance? So filter point of accounting process. When we prepare a trial balance, we have two amount columns. We have the debit balance column and we have the credit balance column. If the trial balance totals disagree, say suppose if the debit total is 1 lakh rupees and the credit total, let's say, is 95 rupees or 95,000 rupees, or let's say 1,12,000 rupees. That means that number in the credit side doesn't match with the number on the debit side. It is a clear indication that there is presence of errors in the books of accounts. Now, on what basis am I making this particular statement? If I go back to the golden rule of double entry principle, for every debit, there is a corresponding and equal credit. So if there is a debit of 30,000, definitely there will be a credit of 30,000 for sure. If there is a debit of 45,000, there will surely be a credit of 45,000 rupees. So that's why we say trial balance totals should agree. But if the trial balance totals disagree, it is a clear indication of the presence of errors in the books of accounts. Now, what will happen if the trial balance totals agree? This is another very important point that every accountant should be aware of. If the trial balance totals agree, we can assume, I stress on the word assume, that the books of accounts are accurate. We can assume that the books of accounts are accurate, but it need not be error-free. Very interesting point. I said earlier, if it disagrees, clear indication of the presence of errors. If it agrees, we can assume that the books of accounts are accurate, but it need not be error-free. That is what I am saying, but it need not be error-free. So you may have a question in your mind, why? This is a very small question that I've asked, why? So if the trial balance totals are agreeing, we can assume that it's accurate, but it need not be error-free. Why is that so? Because there are a number of errors which does not affect the agreement of trial balance. For example, say I have a transaction, cash sales rupees 10,000. Say this particular transaction, the business has not recorded in the cash book at all. Or if you are following the journal way, business has not passed a journal entry at all. And because the business has not passed a journal entry, both cash and sales account, there is no change, and it doesn't appear in the respective ledger accounts as well. Similarly, in the cash book or cash account, it does not appear at all. So the trial balance will still agree because both the debit and the credit are missing. This is just one example. So likewise, there are various kinds of errors which does not affect the agreement of trial balance. That's why we say if the trial balance totals agree, we can assume that the books of accounts are accurate, but it need not be error free because there are a number of errors which don't affect the agreement of trial balance. Now, a very interesting question. Why is trial balance called as a trial balance? If we look at the word trial balance very carefully, trial, when we say trial, either we say, before final, or we can use it as a legal term. Legal term means the people were tried for treason. People were tried for a murder case. So it is more so a legal word. Similarly, if I connect the meaning of that legal word right here in account subject, trial balance. So balances of various ledger accounts will be put to a trial or they will be tested for their accuracy. That's why that statement is called as trial balance. So understand, why is trial balance called as trial balance? Because balances of various ledger accounts will be put to a trial, just like, have a legal, connection. So balances of various ledger accounts will be put to a trial or they will be tested for their accuracy. And the statement where the balances of ledger accounts are put together and tested for their accuracy, that statement is called as trial balance. That's why the name of the statement trial balance. Let's move further to the next concept, and that is methods of preparing trial balance. Basically, we have three methods of preparing trial balance. We have the total method, we have the balance method, and we have the total and balance method. So let us understand, how this method is prepared. I want you to focus on this word because third method will come very easily because it's a combination of first and the second one, total and balance method. So what do we take to prepare a trial balance under total method? What do we take to prepare a trial balance under balance method? And third, we take both total and balance, we say. We will understand this. So let's take a clear-cut example. Now I am taking a list of assets, liabilities, equity, and some assets I have named there. And I'm telling you, say I have prepared a capital account, say ledger account. There is no entry on the debit side of capital account. So debit amount total is zero. I'm not talking about balance. The total of the debit side is zero. And capital account always shows credit balance. And credit total is 1,22,500. So in capital account, there is no debit balance. We have a credit balance of 1,22,500. So credit total is more. So credit balance would be 1,22,500. Similarly, I have prepared a cash account. The debit total of cash account, let's say, is 1,78,000 and credit total is 82,300. So if I balance cash account, I will find a debit balance of 95,700. That is 1,78,000 minus 82,300 rupees. So the difference would be 95,700. I go to purchases account. Purchases account is debited with 65,000 rupees. There is no posting on the credit side of purchases account at all. So credit total is zero. So when I balance purchases account, I will get a debit balance of 65,000. Then sales, there is no posting on the debit side. So it is zero. Whereas sales account, credit total is 79,000. So when I balance sales account, I will get a credit balance of 79,000. Then assets I have taken, the normal American system, asset, liabilities, income, expenses I have taken. Equity is right here, capital I have taken. So asset debit balance is 1,04,600, no posting on the credit side. So debit balance for asset is 1,04,600. Liabilities, as you know, will always show credit balance. So there is credit total of 54, zero on the debit side. So liability shows a credit balance of 54,000. Income, credit all incomes and gains. So credit total of income is 27,000. No posting on the debit of any of the income account. So income shows a credit balance of 27,000. Expenses, debit all expenses and losses. It is showing debit total is 19,500. Credit total is nil. So we find a debit balance of 19,500 in expenses account. Then losses once again debited by 2,500 rupees. No posting on the credit side of losses account. So I get a debit balance in loss account of 2,500. Then gains, credit all incomes and gains. No posting on the debit side of any of the gains account. Credit total is 4,800. So gain account shows a credit balance of 4,800. Remember, whatever is shown over here is fixed. I am not specifying the numbers are fixed. I am talking about the credit total, the debit total. But in purchases, there can be a credit entry. Like for example, goods withdrawn for personal use. The entry will be drawings account debited to purchases account. So you will find an entry on the credit side of purchases account. But I'm talking about the balance. Capital account will always show credit balance. Cash account will always show debit balance. Purchases always debit. Sales always credit. Asset always debit. Liabilities always credit. Incomes always credit. Expenses always debit. Losses always debit. And incomes gains always credit. So these balances that I'm talking about are fixed. Numbers will change. You may have a credit posting also. So the difference will be taken. Now, this is a part of the question. Now we are going to look at how do we prepare a trial balance under total method. So when I'm going to the next slide, I just want you all to focus on this particular numbers. That's all. Only on the debit and the credit total. Forget about the balance. When we are going to the balance method, our focus will be on the balance columns only, the last two columns. And when we are talking about both total and balance method, we will take all these four amount columns. So let's understand how do we prepare a trial balance under total method. So as we have learned, we will look at total method first of preparing trial balance. Then we will go to balance method, and finally we'll go to total and balance method. Let's understand under total method, how does a trial balance look like? So as usual, the heading will be there, trial balance as on. Usually the last day of the year we say, names of the accounts is written, and you can say the debit total. Whatever is there, I can go back. Whatever is the debit total that we have had, 1,22,000, same. Capital to gains, these two columns only. You can check. The same thing appears here in the total method. And when I do the total, this is the debit total, this is the credit total. And when I total both the columns, it is 3,69,600. Because the rule is simple. For every debit, there is a corresponding and equal credit. So if there is a debit in one account, definitely there is a credit in another account. So totals of both, of a particular account, when you total both sides, it will be equal. So here we are taking only the total of an account, both the debit and credit, and we are simply writing it down. We are not balancing. See, capital account is showing no entry, 0 debit total. Credit total is 1,22,500. So when we come to balance, it will show a credit balance of 1,22,500. So cash, debit minus credit, the difference, whatever is there, 95,700. That will show debit balance because debit total is more. Purchases will show debit. Sales will show credit. Assets will show debit. I mean to say balance as we move it. So only the totals are taken over here. Let's move to the balances now. So before we go to balances, let's look at the example once again. So these are the things, debit balance and credit balance we are going to record. So 1,22,500 in capital account, credit balance, cash 95,700, debit balance. So likewise, we will go ahead. So let's look at the balance form of trial balance now. So I have recorded the names of the accounts and I record debit balance and credit balance. So here I'm taking balances. This is the, you can say, the traditional form that we normally use in the preparation of trial balance. Account showing debit balances, all amounts are written in the debit amount column, whereas that which shows a credit balance will all be recorded in the credit balance column. So names of the accounts and serial number is all written, capital names are written. So we take debit balance. So total of the trial balance, debit balance will always be equal to the total of the credit balance in that trial balance. So for every debit, there is a corresponding and equal credit. So under total method, we just simply totaled both sides. Similarly, under balance method, we just totaled only the balances that are available in each of the account. And whether you take totals or whether you take balance, it will be equal. So that is what I was saying earlier. If the trial balance totals disagree, we have it here. If this number disagrees, 2,87,300, and this number is something else, either more or less than this number, then we when we can, we have very clear that there are errors in the books of accounts, because for every debit, there is a corresponding and equal credit. And the third method of preparation of trial balance is the total and balance method. So as I said, we will take all the 4 amount columns as it is. So debit total will be written, credit total written, debit balance written, credit balance written. So this total and this total will be equal. Debit total will be equal to the credit total, and debit balance will be equal to the credit balance. So this is called total and balance method. So these are the methods of preparing trial balance. We have the total method, we have the balance method, and then we have the total and balance method. I hope this methods of preparing trial balance is clear. The last part is forms of presentation of trial balance. Basically, there are 2 forms of presentation of trial balance. One is called as the statement form, and the second one is called as the account form. Now, as far as statement form is concerned, I can simply go back. I will simply take balance method. See, what you see over here is a statement form. It is a statement form. So there is no left-hand side debit, no right-hand side credit kind of a feeling, because both the amount columns appear side by side. So this is called as the statement form. So let's look at the presentation of trial balance under statement form. I've taken the same numbers. I've just used balance method. I could have used total method also. So just the statement form. We have the serial number column. We have the account name. We have the ledger folio column. Ledger folio column, on which page number is capital account prepared, which page number is cash account or purchase account or sales account prepared. Remember this. So those page numbers in the ledger book will be recorded over here. Capital always shows a credit balance of 1,22,500. Cash always will show debit balance. Bank account may either show debit balance or may show credit balance, that is bank overdraft. Then purchases will always show debit balance. Sales will always show credit balance. So I've taken only the balances, that is balance method, 19,500, and when we total, you get 2,87,300, 2,87,300. This presentation of trial balance is called as the statement form of presentation of trial balance. And the another form of presentation is called as the account form. Remember, account form, left-hand side, T-shaped, left-hand side is called as the debit side, right-hand side is called as the credit side. But we are not taking debit side and credit side over here. So I want you to simply focus. Whatever you see, account showing debit balance, a cash, purchases, assets, expenses, losses. These are the 5 items which are showing debit balance. Then we have capital, we have sales, we have liabilities, income and gains. These are showing credit balances. So debit balances items will be grouped on the left side. Credit balances items will be grouped on the right hand side. So you can have a look at that. All the accounts that are showing debit balances are all listed over here, and all the accounts that are showing credit balances are listed on the right hand side. But we don't call left hand side as debit side and right hand side as called credit side. No, this is the form of presentation of trial balance. So when accounts showing debit balances are shown on the left hand side and accounts that are showing credit balances are shown on the right hand side, we say the form of presentation becomes just like an account form. Remember, a T-shaped account, left hand side debit side, right hand side is called as the credit side. But as I mentioned, we don't use debit side and credit side at all as far as trial balance is concerned. So once again, let's not forget, the basic objective of trial balance is to find the arithmetical accuracy of the books of accounts. So whether you take the total method or you take the balance method, debit total will always be equal to the credit total, or debit balance will always be equal to the credit balance, because of the application of simple rule in accounts. For every debit, there is a corresponding and equal credit. And after you have got all the balances, you can either present it in the statement form or you can present it in the account form, as you see on the screen. So this is all about trial balance. So thank you very much for your company, and please do share, subscribe and comment as well. So if you'd like to connect with me, here we have my email ID as well as my number. So thank you once again.